These are perhaps the worst promos we've ever gotten in this game. That's not an exaggeration. And these are all the promos we've gotten. We got these 5 plus this makes 7, right? What I mean when I say that these promos are bad is that their abilities are extremely underwhelming. If, new to the game or relatively new, if you're only playing for a set or two, promos tend to be some of the best cards in the entire set. They're very powerful and good, and they're free, most of all, which is very important because any player can go into the game and log in and just get these cards ready to go right then and there. So it's very important for promos to be good for multiple reasons, aside from the fact that, they're cards in the game, they should all be good. But these promos are exceptional in being some of the worst we've seen because their abilities are just not great at all. Anyways, we got the Sun Goku. This is obviously meant to be played with the Spirit Palm Red Goku. Play if you have a total of 5 or more ki. This card gets plus 20k power for the turn. Then you can't play Sun Goku for the turn. Now this is one of the good ones. This is one of the good promos. I think we only got 3 that are even just good. This is a 30k swing for 1 energy. That you can only play once, but it's still a very nice swing that you need to do in this deck, because remember that this deck is all about just setting up ki and getting bodies that just do the job of swinging into your opponent so that you can start getting them to 3 life. That's going to be very important. So this is a basically run 4 of, because it's a 1 drop for 30k, and it doesn't even cost you the ki. It just, as long as you have the ki, you can start going for these swings, which is already when you're going to be trying to start going for the triple strike anyway. So this is a basically nothing condition. It's just a powerful card overall. It's very good. Now we got this Vegeta. Now we're starting to get in. Now we're starting to dip into the garbage. Okay. On play for leader is Son Goku Vegeta or Vegeta. Draw 2 cards and discard 2. So this scries 2, and then it has the active into the same other Vegetas. Now this card isn't horrible. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not. I wouldn't call it exactly good. All the other Vegetas, except for maybe the kind of vanilla one that doesn't have an on-play ability, are better than this. And the other one we have is the one that finds the Potara and the Goku and then just sends it to drop. Now this is a little bit more universal, because you can just draw the 2 cards and then discard the 2 cards, no matter what they are, even if they're Potara or something. But I think you would much rather search the deck for the other cards, because number 1, you can choose whether or not you discard those cards, and you only discard what you need instead of being forced to discard cards from your hand. And number 2, the search condition is much better for bottoming anyway, because then you can plan the game ahead a lot more effectively. Additionally, this is a Vegeta that it makes it a more Vegeta heavy deck rather than a Goku heavy deck, and they should be about equal. If you're playing Gokus, you have to have Vegeta in the bottom, and if you're playing Vegetas, you have to have Son Goku in the bottom. So each and every one of them should be equal, so that if you have a Goku, you have the equal chance to get a Vegeta, and if you have a Vegeta, you have the equal chance to get a Goku. But when you get an abundance of Vegetas and very little Gokus, it's going to make it so that when you place down a Vegeta and you try to find a Goku with it, you're going to be whiffing a lot. So it ends up being really bad. You want to have that equal balance, and this doesn't really fit it. It would have been much better if this card was a Goku / Vegeta, and this condition was either a Goku or a Vegeta, right? So you could fit it for both. Even if it could only place down itself, like if this was Son Goku / Vegeta and you could only discard and place itself under this, I would be happy with it. I'd be fine with that, because at least then it doesn't make a bad distribution of the deck. But with this, yeah, it does that. Now we have an extra Vegeta rather than the other Gokus that we had before, and just 1 less Goku. So it's gonna be, I mean, at the very least, it's a free card that you can use in the pack that basically does the same thing as a Vegeta, except with a slightly worse condition. So that's something, I guess. Anyways, you got the Son Gohan Childhood. 1 attacking once per turn, reduce your total ki by 2, and then switch this card to active mode, then this card gets plus 20k. Now this is actually a pretty decent card. Obviously the target for this is going to be the Piccolo and Gohan leader that we're getting for this set, because you can get the ki and then swing twice for 20, where I guess not swing twice for 20, you can swing twice for 40, which is extremely powerful, especially when combined with the secret rare that, whenever you deal a swing, it adds the energy to the card. Though, do remember that number 1, this card does not get a ki. It's a vanilla in that regard. And number 2, it costs 2 ki. which is really, really expensive. Now, there's obviously an optional condition. You don't have to spend the key, but of course the condition is insane. Now, a cool thing about this card is that you can play this on the Son Gohan Childhood Leader, and with the 6 cost promo, restand it one more time to get a 40k swing instead of a 35. It's not a massive buff, and you would have to ramp key to get this ability, and by ramping key, like, what's even the point anymore? But, you know, like, it's an option at least. I mean, that gives us an opportunity to have a good Son Gohan Child that we can play in the deck. That's not a bad card, I'll say it. An example of a bad card would be this Zanya right here. So this is Zanya. I think this is the first time ever a promo has just been a standard searcher. Like the 5k, and then looks for a card. I think that's the first time we ever gotten a promo that's like this. And it's a horrible search condition. First of all, this one's leader locked for literally no reason. Leader is Bojack Brigade and his special traits, which is just Bojack, by the way. Look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, reveal 1 card with Bojack Brigade and his special traits, or up to 1 card cost 2 or 3, and add it to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of the owner's deck. Now this finds any card with Bojack Brigade, which can be super combos. It can be the 5 cost Bojack. This condition is not very universal, but the cost of 2 or 3 is important. There are cards in the deck that can whiff. For example, this card can't find itself, which well, actually it can, because it can find Bojack Brigade, so it can find itself. Now this card by itself, standalone, isn't necessarily a bad searcher. If you're playing the standard Bojack package, you're going to be finding basically every card in your deck. Because while it doesn't find something like Slug's Gang, the extra 2 or 3 cost will be able to, you know, find everything else. And being a universal 2 or 3 cost, like that helps out a lot, right? The problem with this card is it's a cantrip as a promo. Like, what are we doing? It's just a standard promo cantrip. Like, we've never gotten this before. Like, if this was a cool card that did something. For example, if it was, I mean, by the way, you can't even use this to kill with the Bojack. You know why? Because it's a 1 cost. Bojack only kills 2 cost. So if it was like a 2 cost and it had this exact condition, both on play and when KO'd, we're looking at something. Because remember that you already have to have a key ramp, so being able to draw a bunch of times with the 2 cost wouldn't have been that big a deal. Especially since the other Zanya is just better because she gives you key and just draws 2 anyway. So this would have had a use aside from the SR that would have been very similar, but the SR would have still been better. And at the same time, this card by itself would have done something unique rather than just being a standard cantrip. This is just lame. I mean, it's not a bad card and you can run it in Bojack if you really want. You already have a Bujin cantrip, so you can just get the standard cantrip and skip out on this. But I mean, it's not a bad tech to run, especially since running an 8 cantrip deck on that deck. It's not a bad idea, though you are heavily loading on 1-drops, which you can't really use for the abilities, but you know how it is. And we got the Cell. This is a very essential run in the Cell deck. It works basically the same way as the SR, but it has a slightly different ability. Active battle, your turn once per turn. Place 1 Earthling only battle card costs 2 or less, and 1 Android only battle card costs 2 or less, other than Cell from your battle area into the combo area. If your leader is Cell, choose a 1 card costs 2 or less in your opponent's battle area and return it to the owner's hand. So this card is amazing because not only does it can swing for 20 if you get the correct androids on board. If you play this and then you play another card, you can then combo it out and then activate this ability. Though I don't think, hold on. Is this, do you even need to meet this condition? No, you don't. Oh, no, it does. You have to place one of these. Yeah, it has to be, you had to place one of them in the combo area. If you don't, this won't proc. But still, by having this ability that lets you use different cards in the combo, once you use the card in the combo, it returns something to hand. It might be asking, why do you want to turn a 2 cost to hand? Isn't it just better to KO it? On average, yes. But you see, the send back to hand can ignore KO conditions. For example, if you're fighting Mirror Black and they're playing Super Saiyan Namek Goku and they play 2 cost Namek Krillin, that 2 cost Namek Krillin will get the key if you KO it, and then the next turn they can play 3 cost, which is going to give them a bunch of crit swings. So you can freeze it or KO it straight up in the next turn because, you know, Cell can get up there. But for the most part, like, you don't want them to play it that early. What you can do instead is play this with a cantrip, combo out that cantrip, and then get that swing in. It sends the Krillin back to hand, and then even if they just take their next turn to play it at 3 energy, that's just the Krillin that they played right there. So you're essentially ignoring KO conditions by not activating them, especially with a 1 KO card. For example, the SR Pan GT for Black Gogeta. Getting the key in the marker like that can help Gogeta, but if you send it back to your hand, they won't have the key anymore. And if you prevent the KO, they won't get to draw the card. So there's a lot of situations where you want to add back to hand instead of KO. It's better to KO, yes. If you want to run times 10 instead of this, sure. But the tech ability to send back to hand instead of KOing is very powerful and should obviously not be ignored. It is a very good promo. We got this Vegito. You can evolve it with the Vegito, or I guess a Goku and Vegito with the Potara combo for 1 energy. And then if a Potara is under this card, which is basically if you evolve it, this card gets plus 20k power for the battle. So he swings for 50 for the battle. So this is going to be just a good universal card. I mean, the other Vegito combo with the SR one is just better, so not much of a point in running this. But it does swing pretty high, and it's just a big 50k beat stick. And it can proc multiple times, and it's a 10k, so you're not really going to go wrong in running it. Overall, it's just a whatever ability. It's nothing like huge. But it's, you know, a nice option. I'm just going to skip over the other one because it's just a parallel art that just makes the text golden. Anyways, you got the Son Gohan. This Gohan is very good for both the Gohan and Piccolo deck that we're getting this set, and for the Beast Gohan deck that's, you know, already in this game. On play, your leader gets plus 1 key, and then when attacking, you reduce your key by 1. If you're a Son Gohan in its card name, and remember that this does say that it's Gohan in the card name, so you can also run this with Son Gohan adult, like not childhood or whatever. The other Gohan, the set 1 Gohan that we got. That Gohan can also run this because it's any Son Gohan in the game, which includes the one that we just got right now, of course. And if this card was played this turn, choose one battle card cost less than or equal to your total key in your opponent's battle area and KO it. So by ramping up key, notice that you only really have to use 1 key, but it chooses any card after discarding the key. So this is a very powerful ability. Even if you're just using the 1 key to KO this, it's a 3 cost that KOs a 1 drop, and that's not bad. That wouldn't be great in regular decks, but in green that needs the extra KO power with the body that's 25, this is a very good stat line. 0.25, that's amazing. Now in green it can get rather loaded because you're playing a lot of zeros that are big bodies. But still, having the 25k stat line that's harder to KO than normal can help you in some matchups. And of course, just the ability to KO any, like, Gohan any card going over your own key, which can be another 3 cost as well, especially if you're playing Beast. That helps out a lot. This is something that Gohan desperately needed. Before, Gohan was kind of like a joke matchup, because if you just had a card that you could stick on board, Gohan couldn't address it with like basically nothing in the game, and you would just steamroll him, especially if you're playing something like Yellow Super Saiyan Gogeta. But now that he has this and he can KO your important pieces like the 2 cost, now you're actually going to start sweating, because he can address your board while also being a just powerful card overall, because before he would just lock your cards, and for the most part a lot of decks just wouldn't care. But with this, now we gotta respect Gohan. Also, he ramps key, so he can get up there in terms of key whenever you play this card, right? Now, I like the reason why this is you can only play it during the turns, because Gohan is supposed to have bad KO power intentionally, but all you need is the turn you play this, because the turn you play this, you just stall the opponent 1 turn by KOing their cards, and that's all you need. Because then turn 4 comes, they're gonna have to start setting up again, and then turn 5 comes, and then you can just start killing them. So like nothing, even when they do their deadly turn, like it's just you just have to survive that 1 turn and that's it. So this is gonna be a very good card to run in Gohan, because it's basically gonna be your like best removal by far, and it can go really high, of course. Anyways, that is it for the reveals for this set. Now, this is a good card. This is a good card. This is an okay. This is a good card. This is an okay card. I classify this as good. This is bad. This is bad. Well, I guess this isn't bad per se, but like this could have been designed better to synergize better with the deck and be more interesting. And this is bad. We've mentioned why before. So we got a couple of losers in here, and most of the cards are just good, and you might want to run them as an alternative tech, maybe. More specifically, this is alternative tech. This is alternative tech. Though I guess you want to run this in Cell just to have the option to send a hand, because what else are you running in Cell? It's a 10k, so there's not much of this benefit. This is an alternative tech, this is an alternative tech, this is just bad. This is good, and this is an alternative tech. So there are a bunch of alternative texts with just like good conditions in here. And that's not the standard that we have for promos. Now this isn't necessarily like groundbreaking, like whoa, the game's dead, but the fact that promos are becoming this quality is not great. Promos used to be so much better. If you're playing the game back then, you would know. Promos ran the game for a very long time. So, you know, getting underwhelming promos, nice, as we were looking for. Anyways, this is the last video before we move on to the new set. Expect tomorrow. I mean, I don't know if the actual set's coming out tomorrow. I don't know what the actual client's gonna do, because normally it just gets the last one, I'm pretty sure, got delayed by like a day. But you know, this is gonna be the last video before the actual set comes out. Expect the animation video tomorrow, and that's about it, man.